there was a tweet out there about Julian Assange from Donald Trump's pastor that we're going to look at right now, saying, breaking, President Trump is going to pardon Julian Assange. Will pardon Julian Assange. This is from Pastor Mark Burns, who is Donald Trump's pastor. This is just broken on Twitter. And to help me break it down, I have Gordon Dimmick. Now, Gordon is a journalist out in the UK. He is an activist for Assange, so much so to the point that, Pamela Anderson wore a bikini and held up a sign that said, "Pardon Assange" for Donald Trump. What a lot of people don't know, Gordon did that first. So Gordon was actually the pioneer. He wore a bikini first for Julian Assange. So thank you for doing that, Gordon. And
you're
thanks
welcome
for being here today. No, Gordon's doing some amazing work.
Teeny weeny bikini, man. Polka dot.
No, Gordon does some amazing stuff on Julian Assange. He has been in Piccadilly Circus. And you were right there. Let's talk about that for a minute before we get into what's going on right now. Were you like handing out flyers, or what were you doing exactly?
Yeah, I went up on Saturday because London, up until I think Wednesday, it goes back into tier 3. We've got tiers over here because of COVID, and because it was a tier 2, there were actually quite a few people out in Piccadilly Circus. Now, some of the friends that I've met through the Assange campaign, Joe Brack and etc., they sort of have this regular weekly Assange thing at Piccadilly Circus, and there's a few of them that get together, and I went down there just to try and hand out flyers and speak to the public that obviously were getting out for the first time since really COVID hit for the last few months, and trying to get back to normality. And people were really interested to see and to hear what was going on with the Assange case. Many of them were misinformed, obviously, because, well, we know that because of how the media have been reporting it. But yeah, it was a great time with great people, and it was one of the first, it was a good day. There were some positive vibes from it, and the public are really interested in this. Once you get past the spin, and once you get to the truth, and you get past the lies, and you get past the propaganda that's been put out there, the public really do care, and the public can't believe that it's taking place on home soil. When they say to me, "Where is he now?" and I say, "Oh, he's in Belmarsh," they know what Belmarsh is in London. This is our Guantanamo Bay, and they are shocked that he's there for essentially having a 100% record on the truth.
Yeah. So, folks, I saw what some of you were saying in the chat, and unfortunately, we have some more breaking news here. This is from that pastor. Regarding Julian Assange tweet, inadvertent tweet, faulty source, please disregard. No, I had a response for him. "You are disgusting."
I agree.
And I think a lot of people are echoing that. Here's a friend of the show, Socialist MMA here. Delete your account. "You, sir, are the worst person alive. Are you fucking kidding me? You suck." Wow, he really does. Wow. And we're discovering this live, folks, and I know some of you are discovering it for the first time too. Shout out to the people who told me to check. Yeah, you wake up to this tweet and you think, man, if this is true, that's huge. And well, it's not true, which, I mean, I wasn't willing to place money on it, but it's hard not to get a little bit excited when you hear something like that from Trump's pastor.
Yeah. It was commendable, though, that everybody didn't jump straight to, "Oh, he's going to pardon him." It's commendable, especially from the media sources that I saw, that everybody was like, "Whoa, if this is true, let's wait."
Right.
But yeah, I mean, obviously he's saying it's not true there. I don't know what's happened there, and I don't know whether it was true when somebody's told him to disregard it or what. We don't know what's gone on behind the scenes, but we just got to use it regardless to try and highlight just how important this plight is. And obviously it's trending at the moment on Twitter worldwide, so let's keep it going.
Yeah, and Gordon and I were kind of talking about this off mic when we were first getting ready to go live, because this is just such a breaking thing, and we were saying, look, to some extent this is still a win no matter what happens, because it's trending, and because so many people have responded, and because like there's so much public support for this, and I do think it's fair to say the public support is finally growing, and it's thanks to people like you, thanks to Action for Assange, thanks
And
to
you, and you.
Oh, well, thanks, man. But like some people, like like you and Medhurst and Steve and everyone in Action for Assange and Taylor. I mean, y'all were really the boots on the ground. Especially for those of us that couldn't be in London, or like it's absolutely essential what you guys have done. Absolutely,
yeah, it's a team effort. It's a real team effort. Those guys, whenever I go, when I was there at Piccadilly Circus, it's the same faces over and over again who are out there. Rain or shine, they're there. It doesn't matter about the weather, etc. It's the same people, and I always express my gratitude to them. I'm so happy, and you'll know Eric, the old man who's everywhere. I'm like, do you realize how much people love you? And he says, it's not about me, it's not about an individual, it's about the cause, and it's about us all coming together and fighting for the truth. And he can't say it better than that. It's not about one person, it's about all of us.
So I got to say this as a quick aside, and then we're going to actually go to Snowden's Twitter here in a second. But I had heard about Piccadilly Circus for a long time because I'm a big Jethro Tull fan, even when I was a kid, and they would sing about Piccadilly Circus. And I was really disappointed when I finally saw it, because it's like it's kind of a shopping mall.
Yeah.
Like I was expecting it to be this really cool, super London-centric thing.
Well, there's lots of shine. There's lots of screens though, Ron, and there's lots of flashing lights, and there's a statue about that big on a plinth.
A big statue.
It really is. It's a capitalist heaven, isn't it?
It is.
It's sort of like a mini Times Square. It really is. It's like a small version of a British version of Times Square. We do everything smaller and less ostentatious, I think. But yeah, it's embarrassing, really, with a lot of traffic, a hell of a lot of traffic.
Well, that's the thing. So when we went to London, I was with my wife, and of course, I mean, I love London to death. I had so much fun there, and I don't even think I slept for the 3 days because I was so fueled by just the energy of the city. And for someone like me who's really into punk rock music and the Clash and just, I mean, so many cultural things that I love and appreciate in music and literature have so many ties to that city that, I mean, I felt like in a way it was one of those cities where in some ways it felt like home immediately, even though I had never been there before. But Piccadilly Circus was on my list of places we had to go. And when we got there, my wife was like, okay, did you,
is that it?
Did you get it? Are you, did you absorb this? We just saw a lot of really cool shit a minute ago, and you had to go here, I guess. Okay.
It's really weird.
Jethro Tull song.
It's only been the last few years. It's only been the Assange thing, actually, that has led me down to London over the last few years, because up until that, my only trips to London have been on real as a driver or through a business delivering or speaking to a client or something like that. And I always hated London. I couldn't stand it because I was always in a car when I went there. Now I don't actually own a car at all. I go everywhere by foot or I love the place. I really do. I've fallen in love with London, not just London, but the underground is fantastic. I think, it stinks and whatever, but it's better than a lot of other places I hear. So I've sort of fallen in love with London. I know that sounds really terrible, and I should hate it being from the north, but I do. I kind of like it. But you're right. Piccadilly Circus is a bit shit.
Well, how far, I mean, pardon my geographic ignorance here, but how far is your town from London?
I'm a couple of hours by train.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. I was going to say, you're not necessarily in a suburb right outside.
No, not at all. I'm from the Midlands of the UK, so I'm from the historical like Labour voting heartlands of the Midlands, the manufacturing side of things. And I've watched over the last few years as the working class have gone. What have you done? Excuse me. How are you fighting for us, Labour? What you wanted what with Brexit? I've watched them basically just disregard the whole working class over here over the last few years, just basically the same as the Democrats have done over there. It's really quite remarkable. The great Tony Benn did say he was worried that the Labour Party over here was going to turn into the UK's version of the Democratic Party, and it seems with Sir Keir Starmer that his fears have come true.
Yeah, there's a lot of parallels. I mean, I don't think they're quite as bad, but grass is always greener, right?
Yeah, actually, I don't think things are as bad over here as they are over there. I do agree. Right. I think you've got to. I spoke to a few people on my podcast from America, and they're all of the opinion that the governing body over there, whatever it may be, have just decided to do nothing. They've just decided, you know what, we're going to do nothing throughout all of this and let people suffer, and you're all suffering, and it's not fair.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. I mean, but it really showed us just how much of a corporate coup our government really is. Not that it's nothing we didn't already know, but it really did show everybody just how brutal and unapologetic the whole thing is. Let's go to this tweet. So this is Edward Snowden tweeted this out. Spotting guide for attacks on whistleblowers. 1, extraordinary claims made without evidence. She gave information to the Chinese. He got people killed. He was an agent of Russia. He likes Donald Trump. All these. Man. Whenever
I heard. Sorry, there's somebody on Twitter called. You'll know this called Empty Wheel, and it's just awful. And I think they've got something to do with the old Hamilton 68 dashboard or something like that. Do you remember with the DNC bots that Hillary Clinton would send out? Anyway, I think it's something to do with that. But regardless, you can see if you just. Yeah, I follow these people on Twitter just to see. You'll spot a few people saying the one thing, and then all of a sudden they'll all be on the same message. And it's sort of like they wait for these one or two instigators, the empty wheels, the near attendants, to say something, or the jury reads, and then everybody else joins on. And I've noticed with this Assange thing, the immediate thing that they went to was Trump and is going to do this to Assange because, and honestly, Ron, it's incredible that they just leap straight to this because get this, it was a collusion that and WikiLeaks dropped the stuff on the DNC to prove the DNC were all liars and rigged the primary against Bernie Sanders to get Trump elected so Trump would give him a pardon. And that is the mental gymnastics these people go through, just outlandish claims with absolutely no evidence whatsoever, but they're all going to jump on it and they're all going to run with it. And before you know, people around on social media and on the streets right now, and I can see that they're all around the world, won't know what's going on because they don't know who to trust. They don't know who to trust. They don't know who's giving them the truth. And without the truth, you cannot have a democracy without actually starting from a basis of fact and true. And they are just muddying the worst waters on purpose, and they're doing it just after you've. I don't know. It's like it's like they're waiting for this civil war to happen on purpose, because then they can. I don't know. In the old movies when at the end, sort of like Swordfish and what have you, there's the little twist and there's the smoke screen and they run out the back. It's almost like these people want to do that right now. It's incredible. But we cannot let them get away with this. We have to start with a position of truth. And like Julian Assange says, if wars can be started by lies, then the truth, that's what can start the peace. The peace can start with the truth.
Did you knock something over in your moment?
Yeah,
of
I did. Sorry, I got.
Be careful, buddy.
Pointing the table.
All right. Well, I just don't want any of your property damaged on the behalf of this show.
It's all shit, man. Don't worry. It's not worth anything.
No, you bring up a very excellent point because, to folks like you and I, and probably most of the people watching right now and who will listen to the podcast later, the smears on him are so far from any resemblance of reality. And to me, it just starts sounding like the teacher from Charlie Brown, where they're just like, he was helping Trump. Wah, blah, 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 blah. It's like, that's not. There are thousands of unfavorable pieces of information about Donald Trump on WikiLeaks if you did a 2-second search on the frickin' site. So there's no basis in that whatsoever. Russia, he was working with Russia. Blah, 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 blah. There's no evidence that was a source. None whatsoever.
It's
no
the
evidence
harm.
that was a source.
It's the harm that does as well.
It's the harm that they do. The claims are so outlandish. So outlandish. Luke Harding, who straight up published lies on The Guardian about meetings that never happened. He has faced no consequence for it. And what is the name for a journalist who makes their bones imprisoning, not that Luke Harding himself imprisoned Julian Assange, but basically spreading the propaganda that imprisons other journalists? There needs to be a name for that other than just propagandists, because propaganda is harsh enough.
We've already got one over here, but you Americans don't like it. It begins with C, and you don't like it. So we've already got a word.
That's not what he is. Enough, but because sometimes
he's
on your shores. That's.
I so want to say it now, Ron. I really do. I so want to say he's a shit cunt. He's a shit cunt. That's what he is. That's the word. He's a shit cunt.
I think
that's what Luke Harding is.
We need something even worse, because on your side of the bones, that is at times a term of endearment.
Yeah, a shit cunt. No, a cunt. A cunt. He's all right. Mickey Flanagan. The comedian Mickey Flanagan. He's all right. He's a bit of a cunt, but he's all right.
Right.
But no, Luke Harding. He's a shit cunt.
Oh, so
that's what he is. He's a shit cunt.
Is that a thing? Is that if you ever add shit to it, it's automatically bad?
Well, this is somebody who let's not forget this. This Luke Harding. He's been making millions off selling falsehoods with regards to Assange for over a decade. He was the one who sold the original script that went on to be a movie that Benedict Cumberbatch, I believe, played Snowden in. That Snowden begged Assange. That Assange begged Cumberbatch not to be in because it was factually untrue, but it went ahead anyway. It's just propaganda, and this has been happening for over a year now. They don't care about the truth, these people. They only care what version of the truth they can spin, that they can get away with doing what they're doing. And what they're doing is just destroying the fourth estate and journalism. And it's we have got to stop this. We have. Ron, you spoke about, just if you don't mind, Piccadilly Circus on Saturday. I spoke to so many different people from all walks of life, old, young. Some people were from the UK. They had accents from all over. Some people you could tell from other countries, but once they understood and once they knew the truth, they were all horrified that we were doing it. And this is why our media won't tell the people the truth about it, because they know if people knew, there would be a revolt against it. This is disgusting what is happening to Julian Assange, and it has happened for 10 years, and we cannot let it get away. We can't let them get away from it any longer. Let's get him home for Christmas and force them to do something. Your friend Jimmy Dore is amazing. He's doing great things at the moment, trying to force a Medicare for all.
We're going to talk about that in a minute. Yeah,
we've got to do the same thing with Assange. We've got to get on the phone. If you're in the UK, write a letter, go on the Assange website and find out who your MP is and get a letter sent to your MP. Speak to your teacher, speak to your doctor, speak to your lawyer, speak to family. You got, stuff coming up when you're on the phone to them. Obviously, if you can't be there over Christmas, speak to them about this. This is truth. This is free speech, and this is journalism that's on the line. And it's on us to make sure this man is free, because if this man is free, your children and grandchildren are going to have a better future. Because if you don't know what the truth is, how can you start making decisions about anything? If you don't know what the truth is, you are going to come to the wrong conclusion. It's as simple as that. And you may have the best intentions, but you're going to be wrong.
So getting back to what just happened, why this is in the big spotlight today, which this guy tweeted that Donald Trump's going to pardon Julian Assange. A little bit over an hour later, he tweets that was bullshit. What do you think happened?
I don't know. You know what? I don't want to speculate, Ron, because something similar happened over here. Something similar happened over here about 18 months ago. It was with an MP called Chris Williamson with the Labour Party. You don't know? He was suspended for anti-Semitism. It's it wasn't suspended for anti-Semitism. It was a bullshit anti-Semitism smear that basically got him suspended. But the thing is,
kind of like what they do to Corbyn, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what they've done for Corbyn. And I screamed at the time for Corbyn and whatever to stand up for him, and he didn't. I said that they're going to come after you with this, but if you don't stand up, and he didn't. And now look at what's happened. It's like, I hate being right, I really do. But I remember that he went to the governing body, the NEC, and he actually won his reinstatement to the Labour Party. They overturned the suspension. And then the next day, somebody on that panel, they voted 3-2, changed their vote and said, oh, it's some dodgy medicine. I know I had to visit, so who knows what's gone on there with this guy? It's like, let's just use it. Let's just use it. He's trending. Let's just go with it and try and force something. I don't want to speculate. Who knows? Have you got any ideas?
Well, I mean, I think the obvious things that come to mind, and again, this is all just speculation. I think that there is a chance. I mean, chance A, this guy just wanted to get some followers. He just wanted to build some clout, and he saw an opportunity to do it. And, what a despicable thing to do. What is it? I mean, as soon as it happened, I checked Christine Assange's account. I checked Donald Trump's account himself, because it's like, okay, if Donald Trump is going to do this, and this goes for the future too, folks, I don't think it's going to happen. But if it does, Donald Trump will announce it on Twitter. If Donald Trump does pardon Julian Assange, I wouldn't put money on that if I were you. I'm certainly not going to. But if by chance he does, he will announce it via Twitter. So I was just refreshing Trump's Twitter feed until we went live to see if he's going to tweet anything about this. So there's a chance this guy just made up some bullshit for some clout. And then they said, hey, man, what are you doing? I think another possibility, maybe this guy actually does want to see Julian Assange pardoned. I don't know much about Trump's pastor. So I, just disclaimer there. I don't know much. I know next to nothing about the guy. That's it. I just knew who he was because of his bio. Yeah. So maybe he does want to see Assange pardoned. Maybe he talked to Trump about it. Trump was open to it. So he got excited, tweeted about it. And then some people who really called the shots for Donald Trump said, no.
Afterwards.
Nope. You're not going to do that. And Trump said, okay. And then this guy had to retract it.
That's certainly a possibility, I would say, because they do say that he listens to the last person that was in the room with him. So yes. Who knows? Who knows? So they, all we know, what I do know about Donald Trump, or at least what everybody was saying back in 2016. Do you remember 2016, Ron? Do you remember everybody saying, "Oh, thank God, we've seen the back of that year"? Hey, you remember that? Anyway, in 2016, there were also, I remember people like Howard Stern were saying about Donald Trump, all he wants to be is loved. Well, I tell you what, Donald Trump, if you pardon Assange and Snowden, you're going to get a lot of love from all across the aisle. That's for sure. Left, right, centrist, all around the world, and not just in America.
Yeah, and not to mention, man, talk about, dunking on the people who really you don't like. I mean, God, if somebody just every day tweeted him that video of Hillary Clinton complaining about Julian Assange, I mean, it couldn't hurt. It couldn't hurt.
No, not at all.
It's like, hey, man, you want to quote unquote own the libs. I don't know if you ever heard people say own. In the United States, that just means that refers to basically anyone who's not for the GOP. that you're
Okay.
owning the libs. So that would even though I'm not a liberal, that would include people like me. Like you're owning the libs.
It's like 74% of the country by that analysis, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a goofy thing that doesn't really mean anything. But like, talk about owning the libs, Donald Trump. You could pardon Julian Assange. And in reality, you wouldn't just be owning the libs because actual liberals don't like Julian Assange. But you'd also be owning the radical left because all of us said, yeah, right. We're radical. In your country, we would just be considered on the left. In this country, we're considered watch list. So there is a difference. But
what you call the radical left over there, we call David Cameron. That's essentially, they're the same. In fact, I would go so far as to say David Cameron is further to the left than the people that you're calling the radical left, and he's a moderate conservative. It really isn't. Honestly, Ron, I'm watching American news at the moment, and it's quite incredible. This whatever this left-right spectrum is that people look at, I think it's been changed for a lot of different people. What's a radical leftist? Well, you get healthcare and you get free college and. You get your student loan paid. What's a radical leftist?
Well, and when
you get to save the climate.
And when I was saying, I was in the scenario, I was speaking to Donald Trump, not you or me. You know what I mean? Like I was like by Donald Trump's optics, I'm the radical left, and that's what I mean. Like, hey man, you would be owning the radical left because we said you weren't going to do it. We said I don't think he is. So hey man, get your opportunity to dunk on me, Donald Trump. I said you wouldn't do it. Do it, and you're proving all of us, which by the GOP, Donald Trump, and even Democratic metric, the radical left is somebody who wants to do something about climate change. That's the radical left. You want to do something about climate change, you're the radical left. So I'm the radical left by their standards, and So hey, own me because I said you wouldn't pardon Assange. So teach.
I don't think he's going to do it either, Ron. I don't think he's going to do it. I don't think he's got the guts, and I think he knows. Yeah, I just don't think he's got the guts to do it. I think I don't know. I just nothing. When I look at Donald Trump or I see no good coming from any of these people. I just see the only people who are going to change it are the people like you and me and normal people. We need to change this because they're just not going to. What is it that I hear a lot of you saying a lot at the moment who are defending Jimmy because he's basically got the wrath of half the country, I think, at the moment. But, power concedes nothing without demand. And we need to start demanding that they free Julian Assange and pardon him and Snowden as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, this is, I appreciate your optimism on it because it's, it sucks that we all saw
What's the option? What's the other option, mate?
No, I know. No, you're right. You're 110% right. But it's like, we see this tweet and well, I guess for you, it was evening, but for me, it was morning. It was the first thing I saw when I woke up. I mean, the first thing I saw when I woke up was that pastor's tweet. And the first thing I thought was, okay, I'm not going to get my hopes up, but if this is true, that's huge. And that's what I tweeted. I said, if this is true, that's huge. And I said, okay, today's Get Your News On with Ron is going to be dedicated to this. So I got to, reschedule how I was going to do the show. I was going to talk about my Muni broadband meeting. That's not going to happen. That can wait till tomorrow. And, let me see if someone's around to talk about this with me. And fortunately, you were available. And
you're welcome.
Thank you. And
always got time for you, Ron. You know that.
And yeah, I mean, but it's just kind of, and I do appreciate that it's gotten an international shot in the arm because it always needs one, and especially during the holiday season. This guy has been in solitary confinement for years, which is torture. He's been tortured for years. That's what's happened. He's away from his family. He's a high-risk individual. So if he gets COVID, he's in a lot of trouble. And he's in a place where to my knowledge, there's been outbreaks, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's like over 50 people who have caught COVID in Belmarsh right now. It's also worth noting as well that let's remember for the last 4 years, you and I have been reporting on the amount of fake news and misinformation there is out there. Here's a journalist with a 100% track record of the proof and accurate and true. If ever we need the truth, right? If ever you, because every single one of us, you and I included, this as well as I do. We all believe a story that's false. All of us do. I will say that after from the last 4 or 5 years, how can any of us have the right view on every single story? But we have to come from a place where we start talking to each other and talking from a place where we know what basic facts are. And at the moment, we just don't. We don't know that because there are so many bad actors and individuals out there who are just there to muddy the waters and try and distort the narrative, so power again can bugger off with all the power and money whilst we get less left. Well, I mean, you've got homeless people under bridges right now, haven't you? Over in America, it's just disgusting what they're doing.
Well, yeah, and I'll say this too, because you're absolutely right. And we all get stuff wrong occasionally. I have been wrong about things in the past. I will be wrong in the future. To paraphrase Chomsky, I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong in the future. But with Julian Assange, for people in the media to be blatantly wrong or complicit, there is no excuse anymore, because there is a difference between making mistakes, because that's part of being a human being, and when you're rolling with something that's breaking in real time and you're trying to get it right, but you're also trying to get it out there, you're going to have some missteps. That's part of being human. But with this case, with everything that's transpired, you are being willfully ignorant. And there is a world of difference between, getting stuff wrong, because that's part of being human, and willful ignorance. And every single journalist who is complicit in this, who is silent on it, or who is spreading misinformation about it, there are no excuses. This is way worse than just getting something wrong, because every single red herring they throw out there is laughably false, is absolutely ridiculous. Even like, oh, well, he helped Chelsea Manning hack, and hacking's technically illegal. Well, there's no evidence that he did that, and she keeps saying that he didn't. And they've tortured her to try to force a confession out of her, and she still won't say that. She won't give them the confession that they want. That's why they keep torturing Chelsea Manning. That's why they do it. They want Assange, and they're trying to get him through her.
The lack of moral standing in our media is incredible, Ron. I recently did a podcast where at the beginning I wanted to talk about an article in The Guardian, and the headline in The Guardian was something like, Black Lives Matter has increased racial tensions, 55% say in a poll. And I looked at the headline, it was like, what? So it wasn't like the unarmed killing of black people. That didn't increase racial tensions.
Oh, wow.
Kneeling on George Floyd's neck, that didn't increase tensions. And I looked at the guy who wrote it and whatever, and I just thought, should I reach out to this guy and ask him the question? Or maybe I will in future.
Did you call him?
It's like, why did you write that? Why did you write that as a journalist? Why did you write that? That you're writing this just because the Guardian are going to pick it up, because it will make good propaganda for whatever tensions they want to stir up. Because let's face it, the Guardian are MI6 GCHQ's mouthpiece. It's like, why did you write that specifically just to get paid, or did you write that because you didn't know what you were doing and you actually just got told and you would? If that's either way, you're not a journalist. You've got to have some sort of moral standing, and you've got to have some sort of morality to say, no, I'm not going to do that, because that's not the story. The story is unarmed the persecution of black people for centuries that is still going on now. The institutional racism of your police forces. That's what stoked racial tension, and it's come to a head. It's not #Black Lives Matter, you absolute buffoon. But this is what the media do regardless. They have no sense of the damage that they're doing. I said to you about the damage that they do. Think about it with Julian Assange. They accused him of being a rapist, Ron. They smeared him of being a rapist. I spoke to a lady called Lisa Longstaff, who's the spokesperson for a group called Women Against Rape. She spoke at the Free the Truth events over the last couple of years that I covered down in London. And she says that to smear Julian Assange as a rapist and keep that case open for 8 years does an absolute injustice against all the women that they have dropped rape cases. The Mets dropped cases with way more. And I'm talking actual evidence where the woman says, I was raped. Let's remember, the women didn't say that in this Assange case, right. But that's what they associate him with. And Lisa was saying it does actual rape victims a disservice. And just like with the anti-Semitism smear with Chris Williamson and Jeremy Corbyn that they're doing, it increases hate against Jewish people, you know, and it's the disservice, and they've got no morals, and they don't understand the damage that they can do just by thinking, I need to get paid, let me write this.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's what it's all about. Like, I'm going to occupy this lane because people can't get over the fact that Donald Trump won an election in 2016. Need a scapegoat, and we're going to go after a journalist or a publisher. You know, I mean, he's both, but, you know, Julian Assange is a journalist and a publisher. But they went after him, and you had journalists willingly do it. This is, I mean, this is like the equivalent of like, or metaphorically, like somebody kneecaps the quarterback so they can start, and nobody knows that they're the person that kneecapped them. But this is more than a cartoon where the starting quarterback gets
Luke Harding, Tonya Harding.
This is torture. Boom! You nailed it. Yes, yes, yes. That's exactly.
I have my moments, Ron.
And yes, perfect. And again, it's a metaphor because this is way more extreme. This is a guy that's been tortured for frickin' years.
Yeah. It's a decade of torture, psychological torture. He did Niels Melter. And this is the thing, all you people there on Twitter go, no, he hasn't been tortured. That's not for you to decide. The United Nations decide that, and they agree. He's been tortured, okay? This is not up for debate. Why is it you agree with the United Nations when they push one narrative, oh, China have done this with the Uyghurs? You agree with that, but when they say that Assange has been tortured, oh, no, I didn't know. Oh, sycophants. It makes me sick, Ron. Sorry, I'm getting pent up again.
No, hey, man. Let it out,
Calm
dude.
down.
I mean, that's, like you said, that's one of the wins we have from today. And I hope that pastor sees this show. I know he won't, but if he does, I hope he sees how irresponsible his tweets have been this morning. But you know what?
Extremely.
You did ignite a fire. So we're going to take the lemons that you dealt on
We'll
Twitter.
make some lemonade. Absolutely.
And we're going to make some frickin' lemonade. Yeah, we're going to make some frickin' lemonade. Tonya Harding, baby.
Have it, Ron. There you go. It's yours.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your